This video is sponsored by Video Blocks, a stock photography website where you can pay a one-off annual membership fee and then download as much as you like from their library of footage and use it royalty-free forever. You can sign up for a 7-day free trial by clicking the link in the video description below. Hello, welcome to another Switched On Network video. I'm Paul FP. Now, for New Year 2018, this year, I released a video which was entitled 10 New Year's Resolutions for Small Businesses, and towards the end of that I included a little visual gag which only a very small number of people will probably get, and that was the letter O falling off the wall of my last title, and I'll just show you that here. So we have the O here, and if I press play you'll see it falling down with an early dart now and again when you've achieved a big... There we are, that's it. Now most people, if they notice that at all, will wonder what on earth's going on there. Some people might get the joke, some people might not. If you get the joke, then leave a comment below to tell me that you understand it. If not, I'll show you how to do it anyway, because it gives us an insight into various different tricks within Adobe Premiere Pro. So to get started, I'm just going to start a brand new sequence. Yeah, I'll call this letters falling. Now to start with, we need a wall, we need a background, so I'm going to just create a solid background colour that. So for there I go File and then go to New, and then I'm going to go to Colour Matte, and then this is going to be the same width and height, the same dimensions as my sequence, so 1920 by 1080 for standard HD. The time base, I seem to be on a 29.97 frames per second timeline. That doesn't matter for this. And square pixel, so press OK there. Now I'm just going to choose a colour at random. I'll just type in some nice random colours with no meaning there, and then we'll call that wall. So press OK on there. Now this will give me a colour matte. So if I drag that down onto the timeline and then extend that out, then I've got a nice base to work on then. So if I'll create a new title, go File, New, and then Legacy Title. Now Adobe have introduced a whole new titling system into Adobe Premiere Pro recently, but for the purposes of this tutorial and to keep it simple, we'll use the old one there, and we'll call this signage. Okay, so now we're going to write some text on here. I'll choose Arial. I'll make it nice and bold so we can read it nicely. And we need some sort of slogan on the back wall, so I'll say this is a slogan that works for everyone. Want something that's nice and appealing to all. Let's center that, shall we? We'll pop it over there. And now to make it look like it's an actual piece of signage stuck to a wall, what I'm going to do is just give it a little bit of a shadow. So if I come down here and tick that box there for shadow, just make that a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. So you can see that's without the shadow. There's just a little drop shadow on there, just makes it look like it's sort of individual letters stuck to the wall. That's looking quite nice, so I'm going to exit out of that, and then let's drag the signage and drop it onto the wall there, and let's extend it out. Whoops. Let's make that be the full length of our video as well. But nice to have a bit of me speaking there. So if I go to my sequence here and just sort of borrow myself, if you like, so I'll just select that and copy back to this new sequence, and I'll make sure that I'm targeting that track and paste that in. And there you can see I've appeared there. Now let's make it a little bit different from the main sequence. So let's increase the scale a little bit and just pop myself there. Now that's a bit too much. There we are. I'll just mute that because we don't want to hear me speaking. But you've got someone standing in front of a wall there with a slogan behind them, and we've got the signage on there. We've now got that going on there. So if I press play on here, we've got a person talking in front of a wall. I am going over on that a little bit, so let's just move that there so we don't have that issue. That's how we can get on. Now let's say we want the first letter here just to fall off the wall randomly. So what I'm going to do to make that happen is duplicate the signage layer so we have it twice. So what we need to do is move this one up there and then hold down Alt to pop that there, and now we have a copy of it. So we've got the same title appearing twice. Now we don't need the one underneath yet, so I'm just going to turn that off and then select the one that's above top, and we want to come to the effect controls up here and make a mask. So under opacity, what we want to do is select, now it's a nice square shape that we want to select it. So if I just zoom in to say 150% and then create a square mask, and I'll just move this to be around just the F. Now you'll notice there's some feathering on the mask by default. In this case we don't want any feathering. It can be a nice harsh edge, so let's turn that fully off. And you'll see we've got the mask for just the F. What we want to achieve here is we want to have the F and the rest of the title independent of each other. So here we've created a nice mask around just the F to show just that. Now you've got the option to invert a mask. If we press inverted there, you'll see that it does the opposite. It shows everything but what we have masked there. Let me just check that that's not going to be cutting off any of the O there. If I unselect that, it is very slightly, so let's just bring that in a bit. I'll just zoom in a bit more, maybe even more. Just make sure that's spot on so we're not eating into the O. You can see the shadow of the F there. What we could do in fact is make it not quite be a square, because it sort of goes around like that, doesn't it? There we are, perfect. Zoom out a bit again. So we've now got a mask where if it's inverted we see everything but the F, and if it's not inverted we see just the F. Now that's going to be more useful to us if I copy this mask or copy the opacity setting. So select that, go Control C, and then select the one underneath and go Control V, and then we want one of them to be inverted and one of them not to be. So let's not invert the bottom one, but do invert the top one. And if I show that again, we can now see what looks like a perfectly normal title. And in fact we're only using one title, so if we want to make any changes to it, etc., we only need to change it in one place. But as you can see, we've now got independently controllable top and bottom. So the top contains the rest of the sign and the bottom has the F in it. So it's the bottom that we want to animate. So let's say we want the F to start to fall off the wall about here. All we need to do is go up to the motion effect, and then it's our position and scale and rotation that we want to change. Now before we do anything we need to affect the anchor point, because we want the F to slightly fall and tumble on its way down. I'm just going to move myself even further out of the way so we don't lose the effects of the tumbling. There we are. So let's go back to this here. So this is the F that we want to affect. Now if we just play with the rotation for that for a moment, watch what happens. It doesn't quite rotate in the way that we want. Now it just so happens that the F is very near to the center of the frame, however it's still not rotating how we like. So if I just reset that control, the anchor point is just here, right in the very center of the frame, which is nearly where we want it actually, but it's not where we want it. We want it right in the center of the F. So if I move that anchor point like that to the center of the F, now when I rotate you'll see that the F rotates around itself. So that's exactly what we want. Now that'll be handy in a minute as we start to animate. So this is the point at which we want the F to start falling from the wall. So let's turn on animation for position. We don't need it for scale because it's not really going to fly towards us or anything like that, but we do want to animate the rotation as well. and we want it to fall down fairly quickly, so let's go a few frames forward. Just move myself so I'm in the right bits. A few frames forward, and then create a new keyframe. If you haven't quite got room there, you can just resize that there, add another keyframe on each of those, zoom in slightly, and then on the position here, it's the height that you want to move, so that's going to go until it's completely off screen. Move that to about there, it's gone. And at the same time we want it to rotate slightly, so I'm actually going to bring that back a little bit, do some rotation as if it was falling that way, and then continue moving that all the way down like that. So if I scrub back through that to see the effect, you'll see the F, when it gets to here, suddenly starts falling off the wall. If I just turn myself off a minute so we can focus on just the F, play that, and then the F, right on cue, starts to fall. You'll notice that's falling extremely slowly because I rather misjudged the frame there, so let's zoom back in on there, select those keyframes and say it should fully finish falling by about there. Let's play that again. And again, that's still too slow. I want it to fall off nice and fast. There we are, nearly there. That's looking perfect, that, nearly. Now, one thing that's always worth doing when you animate is adding some easy in and easy out on your frames. So if you select these first two keyframes, right click, go to temporal interpolation and go to ease out, because you want to ease out the animation from that frame and then in on this one, so it'll sort of come to a rest a bit more naturally. Oh, well, actually, no, I'm going to leave that one because it wouldn't come to a rest naturally if it falls onto a floor. That would be sudden. So let's leave that like that, and then watch this start to fall off, so it doesn't fall off quite as harshly. It sort of accelerates a little bit. Now that's nearly there. What we want to add to that is a little bit of motion blur. So if we select the very first frame, go to our effects panel and type in directional blur, drag that up to here, and we're going to animate this, because we don't want any blur to begin with, but then we want it to start to blur fairly quickly once it gets moving. So let's animate the blur length, and then go to just a little way into the animation, and we'll say it's sort of fully blurred by that point. Add a keyframe there, and then let's increase the blurriness just probably about that much. So I've gone to 6, I think, is about right. And then if we play that back through, it's nice and in focus, just like the rest of the sign. And then as it falls down, you can see it starts to be a little bit blurry. So it's falling down, rotating and blurring all at the same time. So there we are, this is the finished effect. You can see the speaker talking there, and then all of a sudden, a letter falls off the wall. What are the chances? How could that happen? That's all there is to it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can get all of our videos as soon as they go live. Don't forget as well to sign up for your free trial of Video Blocks. You get a 7-day free trial in which you can keep absolutely everything you download during that trial, so definitely worth checking out, and the link's in the video description. You can also have a look at some of our other videos which are on screen now, but from me for now, that's all. Thanks for watching.